In our world, we have dominated the metals that we use in our devices. We have dominated the plastics, that come from oil, the glass that comes from sand in our optics. We have dominated these so-called inert objects. And that very attitude has led to a poverty of experience in how we use these devices to relate to each other at a distance. If there was love and relationship with the physical world and the beings of the physical world, such as metals and oil and sand, if there was love in that, the development of our even our physical apparatuses would have gone a whole different way. And we are now trying to communicate with loved ones at a distance through devices that are not loving, that are sterile, that are not able to, they don't have within them the life force that beings who are honored in both their physical and their astral aspects. Every piece of metal that you find in the ground, every vein of metal, has an aura, has that astral dimension to it. And you can relate to those lines. In fact, what's called often by geomancers ley lines are consciousnesses that follow the metal veins in the earth. They're the astral dimension of the metal in the earth or other minerals. Since in our culture, I'm going to say our, because mine was so close to what yours is probably, we did not recognize the multidimensional nature of metals, of oil, of sand. Our devices do not transmit very readily our astral intentions. And this is ironic because most of what most people use the internet for is to communicate their thoughts and feelings to another person. Or even you might say a movie is a creative output of the writer and the actors and the producers' thoughts and feelings that are put into form but transmitted. They're usually not. Well, there's more and more reality shows, but a lot of what is conveyed is people's thoughts and feelings, and even reality shows. What do you see? They're them acting out their thoughts and feelings. A lot of the content is astral that we're trying to convey through a physical mechanism that should have an astral dimension to it, but we have tried to strip that away. Now, the devices we use to communicate in this way do have a quality, but what they have is that quality of lifelessness, of having their spirituality not be recognized. And when you don't recognize anyone's spirituality, in other words, their multidimensional existence, your experience of them is usually not very loving and full. We do this with people. We enslave people and we pretend they don't have souls and try not to relate to them. We have them working in factories in the third world that are pretty much slave situations a lot of people are experiencing, and by trying to just consider them statistics and not people that you would want to love. Then we end up with all these factory goods that are especially lifeless and don't have that loving feeling about them. We've made it just about everything as lifeless as we can, it seems like, on our parallel world. Now, in a world where the technological devices, you might call them, like the wagon loaders, are made in a relational way, honoring that everything has consciousness in it and spirit in it. These devices feel totally different. Like to sit in one of their wagon loaders. Well, I think a lot of people name their cars, and feel like they kind of keep their car going because they love it. That their car can sense their presence and stuff. So we have a little bit of that feeling. But you sit in one of their wagon loaders, and I don't know why they call them wagon loaders, but they're cars. And you feel like saying, hi, how you been, to the car. And as you ride in it or drive it, you feel held by it. And you feel held by a particular consciousness that is that car. You walk into their homes, and you feel like you're visiting a friend. The home is the friend that you interact with. You feel warm and fuzzy, like the house is hugging you. And so to walk around in the world I'm on now, everything just feels so loving and spiritually alive and uplifting. Part of the problem with us killing everything on these, parallels like Cathee's on now, is not only that, there's huge numbers of depression and of people who are depressed, but there's well, first of all, we have a huge problem on these parallels in that satellites and cell phone towers and other broadcast towers have totally inundated the atmosphere with human-dominated, non-loving, non-relational, so-called dead frequencies. And when you have surrounded yourself entirely with dead devices that will not interact with you, you are imprisoned in a dead world. Anytime you're around like a tree, if you're not in a Wi-Fi environment around a tree where the interference is incredible, the tree and you do a little give and take dance, greeting each other energetically on the level of resonance. Now, there may be interaction on the level of sight and sound and infrared signals, or the whole gamut of humidity exchange, or all sorts of interchange. But on the astral level too, you are, when you're out from under these frequencies, you are interacting on an astral level with everything in the natural world all the time. Our ancestors knew when there was a fire a long ways off. They didn't have to see the smoke. They didn't have to smell it. They knew. They knew when winter was coming, if it was going to be a cold winter, if it was going to be an early winter. And it wasn't just from observing the flowers, when they go to seed or something. Everything was connected. Everything interacts with everything. So now we still try. I think it's very natural for our very beings to still be trying to interact with everything around us on a multidimensional level. But we hit up against even a dead atmosphere with all the microwaves beaming in on us, and we start to feel dead inside. I think most people If you take the typical person on Cathee's parallel, in comparison to the typical person on Leanie's parallel, the typical person on Leanie's parallel seems wildly in love, happy, joyful, to an incredible degree compared to what Cathee is right now, even as I speak. It's incredible. It's an amazing difference. So we are trying to oftentimes, or you are, communicate with people that you want to relate to. I mean, think of the online dating services as the epitome of this. You are trying to send signals that will help someone resonate with you so that you can actually start to really relate to them over very dead media. The devices, the microwaves, and then the monitor or whatever device picks up and gives you that information on your end. And not only are these devices dead because, I'm going to say they're not dead. I don't know that it's possible for the universe to support a void that big, to have inert, dead things around us, because the nature spirits, they don't disappear, but they find that they are not being related to anymore. And of course, the more we do things to the metals, the less less easy it is to resonate with the spirit of the metal, if we do it in an unconscious way, as we have. There's a void there. So, say you take a server, an internet server. This is a device that can hold consciousness, because everything can hold consciousnness. It's made of substances, or even I consider electricity a wavelength that can hold consciousness itself, even though you can't physically grasp electricity. You can grasp the metal that it runs over, or the air that it is transmitted over. But okay, so we have this internet server, and this is where messages are going, through the server and out to other people. And there seems to be, if we're just talking about the medium of the physical computer or the physical microwaves, you might say, if it's beaming wirelessly, that whole system, that whole network, humans who know what they're doing will often, very often, program, you might say, the spiritual qualities onto that physical mechanism. And I've tried to talk about this, this way. It's not that they're adding something really amazing. I mean, it's not like it's amazing that this microphone I'm speaking into could have an element of consciousness, of what we call consciousness, of resonation on the astral level, a unique signature energy. What's really amazing is that we manage to pretend that we can strip everything, spirit out of everything.